clubs. Oh, good. And the 4 priorities that we'll listen to today and learn from are increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. These 4 priorities overlap each other. In developing strategies for engaging members, we need to ask our members what they want. Reach out to those members you haven't seen for a while, conduct a membership survey, offering new ideas, sharing our stories, celebrating our successes, in looking at new ways to meet, in striving to mirror our community in our club membership. Those are just a few of the things that will be discussed today. At PETS earlier this year, your club's president-elect put together an action plan for your club. I encourage all clubs to review their action plan. I encourage you to have open and ongoing discussions about how to shape the future of your club. Then use those talks to shape your own strategies. And ask your members why. Why are they Rotarians? Why did they join, and what keeps them engaged now? And remember President Shaker's initiative. Each one bring one. If your members are engaged, they will each one bring one. You've all been provided with an action plan document so that you can fill in ideas throughout the morning. Use it. So let's get all aboard with Rotary and serve to change lives. Jeff, you're on. There, Jeff.
Thank you, Anita.
You're welcome. Action plan. There we go.
All right. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
All right. Great. Well, good morning and welcome to the 2021 Virtual Vibrant Club Workshop. As Anita said, I'm Jeff Gabriel, your District Governor-elect from the Rotary Club of Bishop Sunrise. And let me take a little time to expand more on what District Governor Anita has shared with you during her welcome. What is a vibrant club? What is the action plan? What does the leadership training workshop mean to me and to you and your Rotary Club? Our hope is that when you end today's leadership training session, you will have the answers to those questions. And let me share a little bit more of how and why Rotary International developed this revolutionary action plan to increase and engage Rotarians around the world. We encourage all members to review the action plan, think about your own club and district goals, and find meaningful ways to align those goals with Rotary's plan. Have open, ongoing discussions in your club about the new priorities and objectives, and then use those talks to shape your own strategies for your club. We are certainly doing that at the district level as well. We all have different stories about what brought us to Rotary and what keeps us in Rotary, but we all share a common bond. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Individually and collectively, we are people of action. And as people of action, we know that fulfilling a vision requires a plan. Whenever any of us face a big challenge in our professional or personal lives, we don't tackle it without first being prepared. We're the ones who say we need a plan. And this is equally important. We are the ones who bring everyone together to make that plan and put it into action. This workshop today is about our plan for Rotary's future, because we know that there's a big gap between who we are as an organization today and who we need and want to be. To begin your plan, we must first gaze into the mirror, asking the hard questions and making meaningful self-assessments. Rotary International conducted a series of focus groups and surveys and asked more than 1 million members, leaders, and Rotary participants across the world to share their input with Rotary. Rotary's international goals were shaped by the feedback of those who know us best. and who already share our commitment to achieving our vision, we learned that our members thought we needed to become more nimble, more open to new ideas and faces, and better about capitalizing on changing technologies and trends. But we knew we also had to look outside of Rotary. Here's what we found out when we surveyed the general public in 2015. We talked to people in 15 countries around the world. We asked what would motivate them to join a service organization. And here's what they told us. A sense of purpose and opportunity for community service, causes that are important to them, an established reputation, a strong heritage, programs that make a difference locally and globally. Sounds a lot like Rotary, doesn't it? We asked if they had heard of Rotary and found out that our global awareness is outstanding. In fact, 3 out of 4 people surveyed were aware of Rotary. Among the world's leading social service organizations, we're in the top 3 in terms of awareness. And people know enough about us to know that we do good in the world, but we do have some challenges. Most had only a vague idea of exactly how we do good in the world. Only 35% saw Rotary as an organization for people like them. And just 25% of people surveyed said they knew someone in Rotary. All of us here know how this is playing out in real life. Membership has dropped as much as 18% in North America and elsewhere. We set a record in 2018 for the number of people who left Rotary. We have made some strides to turn the tide on membership, but we need to build on those successes because we are Rotarians. As we move closer to polio eradication, we wonder, what are the news stories that we will help ignite us, motivate us, and tell the rest of the world about our impact? Where is the next generation of leadership coming from? We're in the midst of a huge demographic shift, but while the rising generations share our passion for community and for making a difference, they have plenty of other places to go to channel that passion, on their phones and in the real world. That holds true for our current members in Rotary. And how do we keep them from losing the Rotary love? So here's where we are today. We're the undisputed pioneer of service leadership, grounded in person-to-person connections. And yet we find increasingly people are not coming to us to make those connections. I know this isn't easy to hear, but I have some good news though. There is a plan. And since we're people of action, it makes sense that this plan is called the Action Plan. It's a plan that is clear-eyed about the challenges Rotary faces. It acknowledges the difficulty conversations we've had at Rotary and must continue to have. Our action plan offers the framework and space to surface and address potential disconnects between the goals and the needs of clubs and districts and zones and headquarters. Change is hard. The action plan helps guide us and will achieve this. It draws on the remarkable capabilities we've developed in our own professional lives and careers. Above all, the capacity to listen, to learn with others. It respects that younger generations have different expectations about how to spend their time, who to spend it with, and what motivates them. And our action plan encourages us to use our collective global imagination to bring fresh ideas to the forefront. As a Rotary leader, you've been entrusted with a pivotal role of encouraging buy-in for your club's plan and helping your club realize its priorities over the next few years. A tremendous legacy for the leaders and generations who will follow you and your club members. It has 4 priorities, as District Governor Anita announced and shared with you earlier. Each priority is a reflection of the input, feedback, and hopes of current and former members, leadership, Rotaractors, alumni, youth exchange students, and Rotary staff. In all, we have reached out to more than 1 million people who are connected to Rotary in some way to ensure that our action plan priorities are the right ones and are authentically Rotary. The 4 priorities Rotary developed for the Vibrant Club Action Plan are increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. Now let's look at each one in a little more detail and some of the ways we'll turn these priorities into action. To my fellow Action Plan champions, thank you for your dedication to Rotary. Together, it's carrying us through the Rotary's vision of a better world, and let's show the world what it means to be people of action.
Well, thank you all for being here today. Thank you, District Governor Anita and District Governor-elect Jeff, for setting the stage so beautifully for us. Welcome to our first session, which is Increase Our Impact. So as you saw our vision earlier, it is through meaningful, impactful projects that we really achieve our vision. We are looking to increase the capacity and well-being of people and communities. Now, when we talk about impact, we're referring to long-term effects. For example, you have a literacy project, and beyond counting the books distributed, the number of children read to, the number of teachers trained, did the literacy rate improve? We're looking for significant outcomes. We're also encouraged to focus our efforts, not spread ourselves too thin, so that the projects we choose to do, we do very well and successfully. This is a short message that you may have heard before from immediate past trustee chair, RI past president Ravi, speaking about our ultimate goal of transforming lives.
Once upon a time, our goodness could only be measured in vague perceptions of public opinion. Today, we want to know the real impact of our act of charity, what it has done to the community. So we need to create projects that do more than just make us feel good that we did a project. Our project must change lives. This is not about dollars. It never was. This is about lives and changing lives.
Such a great message there, because projects with impact do, in fact, change lives. So how can we increase our project impact? Well, you see a number of the steps here. We know that measuring and sharing the impact of our work attracts people to us as members, as supporters, as partners. So I want you to take a minute and think about your most successful, impactful service project. And let's take a look at it via a short poll. I'd like you to scroll down to, let's see, Robin, let's launch that. There we go. Scroll down so that you can see all 8 statements. We used a needs assessment to determine and design our project. We had elements of sustainability. Our members were very engaged. New club leaders emerged as a result of our project. We had measurable outcomes. We evaluated success. We were able to document, describe, and share the impact of the project. Our project attracted new people. So take a moment, please, and select an answer to each of the statements. Give everybody a few minutes here. This is the interactive part now. Please vote. Looking for a few more of you to click. There we go. A few more folks. So it's interesting to think about these different elements, isn't it? Okay, let's try to get a few more. Okay. I think Robin will go ahead and close and share the results. Let's see. Okay, well, excellent. So 65% of you said that you did use a needs assessment. That's wonderful. And 82% with elements of sustainability. Wow, 94% with members engaged. New club leaders emerged, quite a number here too. Created measurable outcomes. Wow, this is wonderful. Evaluated success. And look at that, 47% felt that your project attracted new people to the club. Well, that is excellent in numerous categories. And we still have probably a few ways to use data to strengthen our projects and share the story. You know that successful, effective projects have broad benefits for our members as well as our communities. So, as mentioned, one of the very first steps is determining needs. Use the diversity of your membership and your various connections in the community to really reach out and determine significant needs. Ones that your club can address either by yourself or in partnership. And a great resource is the Community Assessment Tools Manual, which was included in your handouts. It's also on our district website and the RI website. It has a description of, as you see here, 6 different ways to assess the pros and cons of each one, examples, great tips, including the stakeholders to consider in reaching out. The wonderful thing about needs assessment is that not only will it identify needs, it will also identify resources, financial, human, and organizational, and the strengths that you have to build on. It will also help you understand the dynamics of the community and the beneficiaries. So we created this little form, which you may have seen, to help record your assessment efforts. If your club applied for a district grant this year or last, you noticed that you were asked how you identified your project. So for those of you who have done needs assessment, what did you do? How did you go about doing the assessment itself? If you want to raise your electronic hand, we can call on you if you would like to share what you did. A number of you said you used a needs assessment, so let's hear how you approached it. Not seeing anybody yet. You can also type into the chat pane. All righty. I think a large percentage of you indicated you use needs assessment. So let's share just one approach. Let's see, do we have somebody in chat? Let me see here.
I just posted the links
the
to
link.
the needs
Okay,
assessments, but I'm not seeing any hands raised.
I'm not either. So
It's a quiet group this morning.
Yeah, it's a quiet group, you guys. We're going to have to liven things up here a little bit. So you could have used reaching out to various community organizations, other nonprofits, your schools, input of your membership. I know that a lot of us really began this process with COVID-19 related projects. Let me see if I have, okay.
We do have a couple in chat.
Okay, thank you. Informal assessment and needs of the community. Chess is reporting she had a homeless interest, so she contacted the mayor. And again, reaching out to other organizations who supply needs to the group that maybe you're interested in or the topic. So your assessment will also help identify partners. So going back to your most successful project again, did you have a partner organization? And if so, how did you find them? And before I go there, Tom, you had your hand up earlier, so please go ahead.
I was just going to say that our needs assessment kind of came through the back door, where there was an article in the local paper talking about the food bank, our local food bank, having shortages of food to support the people who are having difficult times through COVID. So the needs assessment doesn't necessarily, it can be something that comes to you, not something that you generate. So something to bear in mind.
Excellent. That's a very, very good point. So let's talk quickly about partners. If you had a partner on your project, please raise your hand, your electronic hand. Okay, Doug. So you had a partner, and how did you find them?
Well, Tom might be able to answer how we found them, but I was thinking about our mask giveaway and that type of thing, and we found a partner who was making masks and was looking for a way to distribute them. So they were our partner. We formed a partnership with them, and that has continued.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And Jeff, what about you?
I'll just add real quickly that your partners can be within. Our partner was Grocery Outlet, which I'll cover in my part, but you know, is a Rotarian who owns the Grocery Outlet and stepped up. So
Great, thank you. So anyway, it's important to think about partners because they leverage our resources and of course they extend our reach. So once you've got your project identified, what are your goals and desired outcomes? Are they measurable? And do you have the data you need? So what is data? Well, actually, it's not this guy, but it's facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. Now, data can not only help us share the impact of our projects, it can help us replicate and scale up effective projects. So think about your outcomes, determine what you want to measure, and what you need to do to collect that information. I love this quote because it says, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. You may be very familiar with data and analysis in your work life, but extending that to Rotary is new for many of us. An excellent resource is our Global Grant Monitoring and Evaluation Plan supplement, which was also included in your handouts. Although it was designed for global grants, it gives some good examples of types of measure and evaluation tools. Beginning with the end in mind is a very effective strategy. So determining the data, developing your measurable outcomes, gathering your baseline data, and then evaluating against it are essential steps in being able to document success. And notice that your data may be qualitative or quantitative. So here's a look. Quantitative data is expressed in numbers and measurements. Qualitative data is expressed in descriptive terms. Qualitative data is often collected by direct observation, interviews, surveys, recorded experiences, things like that. Qualitative data often speaks to the why of quantitative data. So let's take a look at a middle school project. You've identified a need for addressing bullying and negative behavior on the campus. So the goal might be to create a more positive, supportive school culture by providing training in conflict resolution and team building. What type of data might we collect? Please raise your hand or type into the chat box. What kind of data could we potentially collect about this topic? This is again the interactive part. Think about what kind of data could we collect. Kathy? You can unmute, please. Kathy, are you able to unmute?
There, did I get
There
it?
yeah.
You did.
Okay. Number of kids bullied.
Okay, great. So that is something to be measured. Excellent. Anybody else have an idea? Thanks, Kathy. Kim.
Jess,
Oh, okay. and Chessa has one in here. Suspensions or withdrawals, grades, excellent. Kim?
Mine was along the lines of Kathy's, which was number of fights, number of conflicts between students in the school.
Excellent, thank you. So that's, the kind of thought process that we need to go through. So here are a couple that I thought of. Let me click my screen here. Whoops, did I just skip that? There they go. So here are a couple of ideas that I had thought of, similar to what you were saying. Reports that would document negative behavior incidents, and then maybe surveys or interviews with teachers and students to document feelings about school atmosphere and culture. I see another one here, ages of the kids that are being bullied, activity on the playground, again, referrals to the principal. So these are all ways that of data that we can collect. Now, of these two that I have on the screen, one is qualitative and one is quantitative. So just to review, quick poll to determine which is which. So Robin, if you would launch that. So the first one, disciplinary reports, qualitative or quantitative? And the second one, surveys or interviews, qualitative or quantitative? Great, give a few more minutes, everybody vote. Give you all another minute here. It's early, we've got to get warmed up.
And I have a cold. So.
Okay, all righty, well, let's go ahead and end that and share the results. And it's interesting, isn't it, to think about. So the disciplinary reports that are measuring number of incidents, those would actually be quantitative. And surveys or interviews, those things are our qualitative ones. And both types of data are important. So think about both kinds when you are thinking about the data that you can collect and creating those baselines. Okay, let's stop sharing that. And now we're going to move to measurable outcome. So what we'd like to do now is head into small groups for just 5 minutes and create 2 measurable outcomes. Again, our goal is to improve the school atmosphere and culture, provide some training in conflict management and team building. Take 5 minutes, identify someone to report out, and let's head into breakout groups and develop 2 measurable outcomes for this project. Great, welcome back, everybody. Here they all come. All righty, so I'm going to ask those of you who are reporting out to raise your electronic hand so that you come to the top of the screen here and share with us 1 measurable outcome. So Walt, you're up first.
What we decided to do is we wanted to make sure before and after that the measurable that the survey is exactly the same, so we're not comparing apples with oranges. And we wanted to more or less survey the principal, the teachers, the aides, and the students that are on the school campus, and basically come up with some kind of measurable results that we can compare before and after numbers with. And I believe that was
good. We'll give thank you. Good job. And that's really important, the baseline, and then being able to see that you've moved the needle. Karen, your group.
Great. Thanks so much, Wynn. We also talked about having that baseline information and maybe looking at 2 years of previous data from the principal to see if we can find what the baseline would be. And then Kathleen also, that was from Chessa, and Kathleen also suggested the number of students that might be going to the principal to report bullying that's happening. And then also going into the PTA and seeing if we could get some information, some data from them about where parents have seen bullying
Ah.
happening, and then maybe pull some of those parents for an interview so that we can also have some
Excellent.
qualitative data.
Thank you. So excellent and really wonderful to kind of expand into the parents and their impressions. Well, great job, everybody. As you work with your project design, also think in terms of how to evaluate longer term sustainable outcomes. This is much more challenging, but that is our ultimate target, remember, projects that transform lives and communities. So one last element we want to talk about, very important, and that is member engagement. Will your project enhance engagement, provide a rewarding experience, and add value to your members' experience with Rotary? So let's think about that. How could you determine that? What data could you collect? How are you going to determine this? This is another raise hand program. Okay, Doug, thank you.
I think when doing a survey at the next club meeting after the project is over of the club members to find out if they felt engaged, they felt it was worthwhile, they felt it should be a project that they could repeat. And maybe have them rate the value against other projects that they've done in the club.
Oh, that's a great idea. And it really gives you a lot of good information for planning your next projects, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Chessa, you had your hand up, and then Jerry. So Chessa, you were.
Yeah, Doug kind of said what I was thinking of, but I was also thinking that it would be helpful if we could stay engaged with the teachers, because I think they're the ones that know the impact of what bullying does as far as distressing a student, so it makes it harder for them to learn. That peer influence can be so strong, both positively and negatively. So I think we maintain a contact with the parent and the teachers, so they're the observers of student reactions and long-term impacts.
Great, thank you. And that brings value to our members too, doesn't it? Staying with something for the longer term. Jerry, you disappeared, but your hand was up. Jerry Hall.
Well, Gwen, if you can hear me, I will digress just a moment. In our school district, we have 64,000 children in the school district. So getting into schools is very, very difficult. But I was describing in the breakout a project that we got involved in that we could fund with the help of the district, and we were able to make a difference with homeless children's lives. It's a program called Children in Transition that is run by the intervention department at the school district. It's a federally mandated program with no funding. So every dollar we put in there, we were able to track students going to a Boys and Girls Club after school. We had tutors in there to help the students with the work, and then they got a warm meal before they were transported back to their home, which was the homeless center or someone's sofa. So we were able to track that, and we did that for 3 years, and we were at the $7,500 funding level from the club. And so that's one way to fund a program, but we could not get our members involved and engaged in it because of school district rules. But that shouldn't stop us from helping those that need the help. I guess that's the point I wanted to make.
Right, absolutely. So there are some barriers periodically, aren't there? But the project, and probably you're sharing the impact of it, did connect with the members. So Walt, one last comment on this one. How are you going to figure out about your members and whether this is a project important to them?
I was kind of going along, Jerry Hall's following his lead there. It'd be nice if we could somehow reach out to the parents of the bullied children and get the information to see if there's some kind of improvement there. That would, to me, would be really where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, and provide that longer term. Thank you all so much. Well, whatever the projects we take on, it is important to think about your members. Part of needs assessment, in fact, is figuring out, do your members, are they enthusiastic about this project? Are they wanting to volunteer for it? Do they want to support it? And then building in elements of the project that do add value, whether they are leadership opportunities or just opportunities to expand their personal connections to other parts of the community. All of those things do, in fact, make a great difference. And having your members excited about a project is very important to its success. Now I'd like to take a look at a project, a multi-year project that comes to us from District 5030, David Bobanek, who many of you might know. The owner of the Elkron Farm Golf Course sold roughly half of it to the local school district to build a new high school. The remaining 9 holes of the golf course were designated for housing, but then there were several acres of land that were not buildable, and the owner reached out to Rotary First Harvest, which is a District 5030 project working to get fresh produce into the hunger relief system. So Rotary First Harvest enlisted local Rotary groups and the leadership team of a coalition of local hunger relief organizations to explore how a project might be developed. And they began with a community needs assessment. So they are in South King County, and the needs assessment process highlighted several critical needs and issues related to hunger relief, as you see here. So they took these, and the project was designed and became an extensive partnership between the local Rotary clubs in South King County and organizations that address equitable access to healthy food, promote sustainable urban agriculture, and new markets for local produce. So the produce that was grown at Elkron Farm is distributed through the South King County food banks to people in need, and also to people living in areas where access to fresh, healthy food is very limited. As you can see here, the Elkron Farm Project brought together many Rotary, Rotaract, and Interact clubs, Rotarians, and the district to solve a very important community need. The South King County Food Coalition provided project management. Funding was from the Rotary clubs, also foundation funding through district matching grants, local foundations, individuals, and the King Conservation District. If I can grab my little thing there. So there were a number of measurable outcomes. Some immediate, shorter term included just the new amount of produce, 400,000 pounds produced for local food banks. The involvement of numerous volunteers, the successful partnership between multiple organizations, which leads into the longer term outcomes and contributions to sustainability. So creation of programs at the local schools, participation in the high school transition intern program. This is a program that provides an additional 3 years of job and life skill training for 18 to 21-year-olds. And these interns, part of their work is at Elkron Farm. And from there, we begin to move into elements of impact. So improved health for food bank clients who add nutrient-dense produce into their diets. Better school performance for children who are receiving that nutrient-dense produce. The Elkron Farm Transition Program interns graduated into full-time employment. There was new curricula and programs in student leadership development, food systems, and social justice, developed in partnership with the local school districts. And then Highline College made Elkron Farm a keystone of its new food system degree program. As David Bobanek stated, the long-term outcomes and impact can be more difficult to measure, such as improved health for food bank clients. However, these are the important longer-term markers or success for success and continued improvement. So while additional data could even better document the long-term outcomes and impact, this multi-year project did have an impressive and lasting contribution to the community. So what I'd like to do now is break us into small groups again and consider what we might learn from the Elk Run Farm project. So for example, how did it provide value and to whom? How can impactful projects support vibrant clubs? What are some things that you might take away from this project and think about in your own service projects? You're going to have about 10 minutes to talk about this. Please, again, identify someone to report out who will be able to share just probably one short discussion point. And Robin, let's go into breakouts. All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had an interesting and vibrant discussion in your breakouts. So if you are the person reporting out, I'd like you to raise your hand, please, and just share one comment from your discussion so we give everybody a chance. Okay, Tony, let's begin with you.
So lucky me. Oh, I'm already on. Actually, it wasn't my thought. It was Chessa's, but she asked for me to report on it for our group. And she said that in Reno, they have a program called Soulful Seeds. And it's for growing like community. Well, we ended up talking about community gardens, and then that led into possibly teaching the homeless to have an area that they could grow their own food and give them a skill set to learn how to take care of themselves with more nutritional food. And it just we just kind of grew from there. And we had a really, really great discussion and came up with some great ideas.
Wonderful. And having those more expansive and impactful outcomes is just great.
Yeah, and it involved so many groups in the community. So that was a very, very good idea.
Yes, and another great thing that was demonstrated with the Elk Run Farm project. Thank you. Okay, I think there was somebody, but now Bertie, looks like you're up next.
Sure. So we had a great discussion too in our group, and I think that one of the things that came up was how a project like, we talked about how does it provide value and to whom, not only to the participants of the food program and the interns and the college students going forward, but the community at large, bringing it together and having a common purpose for the whole community to really feel like they're making a difference for their community members and for the people. And I think that is propels itself to go forward into the future. And the other thing is, in terms of how it supports vibrant clubs, is that it really gives you the purpose for your Rotary Club. It's why you exist and why you come back, and let's do more and make this difference. You feel the difference you've made in people's lives, and that can attract new members who want to be part of something impactful like that as well.
Thank you. Great job and great summary. Kathy, let's hear one comment from your group.
We had a great discussion, and one of the comments we had was that it also, to help support vibrant clubs, and value, it gives a boost to Rotary in the community. It puts Rotary out there so everybody sees a really good project and what's going on and the value. And that led us into some discussions what we could do in our area.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. And thank you so much. Anita, we've got time for just a quick sound bite from your group.
Changes lives. I think that was the one major thing that we noticed, that it really changed lives.
Thank you so much. And thank all of you. And I hope you did enjoy your discussion, because by focusing on impact and significant outcomes, we really are able to create projects that transform lives and communities. And these projects engage our members in meaningful ways, provide value, leadership opportunities, and even the chance to use our own expertise and diverse perspectives to develop innovative solutions. And these transformative projects can attract people who also want to make a lasting difference. So I'd like you right now, please, to take a moment and jot down a few notes in your plan, your club plan. This is our first priority, increase our impact. So a few things that you can take away and bring home to think about in your upcoming projects. Give you just a moment to do that.
If they don't have it handy, the link is in the chat box.
Link is in the chat if you don't have it. And this is writable, or if you printed it out ahead of time, of course, paper notes are good too. So in just a moment, we are going to take a 5-minute break, and then our second session, expand our reach with District Governor-elect Jeff. I want to thank you all for being part of this session today and sharing your ideas, and let's go out and have an impact, transform lives in our communities and, of course, in ourselves. Thanks so much.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Vibrant Club Workshop. We'll be talking about expanding our reach during this session. A special thank you again to Tom and Robin for their great work on providing the technical expertise today. Thank you to them. Our second action plan priority is to expand our reach so that we can grow our capacity to make an impact, enhance participation, and increase our ability to adapt. People of action activate, inspire, and give others hope that they can be a part of the change that makes the world better. Together, we must answer these questions. How can we share our values with our new audiences? How can we inspire more people to take action? And what new models can we test that bring people together to experience the power of Rotary? We know that our capacity to make a difference is larger when more unite with us. What can you do to expand our reach through increasing our capacity? What projects has your club done, is currently doing, that will help expand that reach? Expanding what we do as Rotarians will result in a stronger Rotary organization. Expand our reach has 4 areas of focus: growth and diversify, create new channels, increase openness and appeal, and build awareness of our impact and brand. Let us explore what each of these focus areas mean to you as you develop your club's action plan. Through the focus areas, let's build connections and opportunities that will allow people who share our drive to do the same. First, growth and diversify. What does that really mean to you and your club? In very simple terms, you are looking for potential Rotary members that have our passion of service and camaraderie. We must not limit ourselves. So I'm going to ask Robin to place our first poll up there. And our poll is, on a scale of 1 to 5, does your club embrace change? Choose 1, either no, lots of resistance, or 2, very slowly, or 3, it's a push and a pull, or 4, fairly well, or yes, embrace change well. We'll give everybody a few minutes to answer one of the 5 with regard to, does your club embrace change? All right, it looks like we are at 100% answered. Oh, we got a few more there. Give it a few more seconds. Okay. So looking at our results, it looks like sort of a third with regard to number 3. It's a pull and a push, fairly well at 32%, and yes, embraces change well at 26%. So that's certainly very positive. I mean, that's collectively together, that's nearly 90% or close to 90%. So that is certainly great to see. So thank you for that. Does anybody want to share how and why you voted as you did? We have anybody in the chat? There we go. Oh, there we go. Tony.
Trying to get it. With our passport club, we only meet once a month physically, and then we do our other another meeting online. But we go to different places all the time and have different speakers about different things, and so everybody's very flexible about where we go, and they kind of like it. It's been fun not having just one spot to have a meeting at. So sometimes it's a little tricky to try to find a place, but it's been very fun too. So so people appreciate that.
Oh, great. Oh, that is good. Does anybody else have with regard to comments or how they answered? Doug.
Jeff, I just am amazed how the Nevada City Club takes on challenges and makes course corrections and changes so fluidly when challenged to try something new or move from in-person meetings because of the COVID, the seriousness of COVID in our community. And I think that comes from the close friendships and the interaction with people and that kind of thing, wanting to see the best for the others in the club and for the community.
So it's clubs being nimble, as we mentioned earlier. Yes. Sarah, did you have your hand up, or did you want to?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yes.
I'm new to this club here in Placerville, and I'm extremely impressed by when we gather on Thursdays at our meetings. And, you know, for those that don't make the meetings, they're still very active and, you know, involved. And so as a new member and as the president-elect, I'm very impressed with how it's not just talk. I mean, we do need to address the things. I understand that, but it's what happens afterwards, and so I'm proud to be a member of the Rotary Club here in Placerville.
That's great. Thanks, Sarah. What would you be willing to share what inspired you to consider Rotary?
So as we all know, COVID knocked us down and kept us indoors and, you know, made us all hide. My friend Amy calls me one afternoon and said, "What are you doing tonight?" And I said, "Nothing." And she says, "We need to socialize." Okay, what are we going to do? She says, "We're going to a Rotary meeting." I'm okay. I don't even know what Rotary is, but let's do it. And I was hooked, line, and sinker that very first night. And she became a member. And then, of course, I did too. And now she's president, and I'm her president-elect. So.
Excellent. That is great representation of bringing.
It's a way to get out.
Oh, super. Thank you, Sarah.
But don't get me wrong, not just because we can socialize, but but for what Rotary stands for. And that's my main reason for being with Rotary now. So.
Great. That is a wonderful story. Thanks. So as we're expanding our reach, as we mentioned, there are many ways that we can do that. So recognizing that Rotary isn't limited by the more traditional club model, we explore other club models that might work better for your club or even a new club. Determine what your club finds to be enjoyable. Is it having socials once a month or much more frequently? Does your club realize the value and importance of hybrid meetings and how your club functions as important as what we do? We're going to take another poll here. And the question is, if Robin has opportunity to put that up, there we go, is, has your club changed its meeting frequency in the last 2 years? Yes or no? A few more minutes for people to respond. Couple more seconds for those wanting to answer. All right. So roughly about 59% said no, we really haven't changed, and 41% said we have. I would ask again if anybody has any thoughts on what their club has not done or not changed, or what they have done or have changed. Anybody want to share? I mean, I'm a little surprised by the results. I was thinking it would be a lot more, but yes.
Kathleen has her hand up.
Kathleen.
Yeah. Well, we actually went from the 4 meetings to 2 meetings on Zoom, plus an in-person social on the last day of the month. So I welcomed the change. I thought it would be great. And people kept talking about socials that we don't do it anymore. So we're back. We're now doing them. We're going to try. We've done a lunchtime. Going to do an evening social the next time, and at a local restaurant. So so far so good. The first one was well attended, and the restaurant gave us some great food. So I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to know we're dealing with everything with the Zoom. Still, some people don't like it, but we're getting a good response at those meetings as well. And no complaints about losing 1 meeting a month yet. So we're on. I think we're on a positive course.
Great. Robert, you unmuted. Did you want to share anything?
Sure. We didn't change the frequency of our meetings as such. However, there are 8 Rotary clubs in the Reno Sparks area. And when we were coming out of the pandemic and getting to the point where we were going to meet in person, we actually paired up with the Rotary Club of Reno Central, and now we hold joint meetings. They moved their venue from one casino to the casino where Reno South was meeting, and Reno South changed their meeting day from Thursday to Tuesday, which was Central's meeting day. And we share every other week. The presidents rotate at the podium, and every other month, the programs committee for one specific club is responsible for the programming. We save time during our business section of the meeting for each club to make announcements. We're starting to do a little bit more in terms of joint projects. We haven't quite got to the joint social activities yet, but it's been an interesting experiment for the last 3 months.
That is certainly really interesting, Robert, because I think what sometimes we neglect to recognize is that we're all Rotarians. And together we make a difference. And so it's not a matter of your affiliation with one club or another. It's that we're all Rotarians. So thank you very much on that, Robert. That was a great point. So as we highlighted in the last slide, your club can have many different meeting types. Explore that format that's most beneficial for your club. We have had, which we're most familiar with, the traditional Rotary Club meetings, something that is a weekly or bi-weekly meetings that we have seen in the past attended in person. And as highlighted, some of the social activities that now we engage in more frequently with regard to getting not only Rotarians, but non-Rotarians because it's a great opportunity to find a new member, which we have an example from Sarah, who was invited to a Rotary meeting and immediately found the value and connection for her. Another way is through projects. Again, another wonderful opportunity to interact with non-Rotarians who might be interested in becoming a Rotarian. Projects that enhance community service is another means for keeping our current Rotary members engaged and feeling the Rotary love. Virtual, something that we've now experienced in the last 18 months, our new Rotary format. If your club has struggled with this type of meeting format, your district is here to help. Rotary District 5190 has what we call our Nerd Squad that is available to you to help you plan or encourage members to experience the virtual format. So I would suggest that a person that's on this call that you could reach out to is our district governor nominee, Stacey Graham, who is involved in that group. So again, our district put that together with the leadership of District Governor Anita to help with regard to, as well as past District Governor Berta, to help put that together to really enhance clubs' ability to adapt. And as we look at the different types of meetings we have, there are different membership types too that we certainly can explore. For your club to be even more effective, it's important to know the different types of membership. Clubs can have one or all of them that are listed on this slide. In the reference library that you had received for this workshop, there is a link to the District 5190's membership section, a tremendous amount of information there. And I would also recommend you reach out to our district's membership chair, Richard Forrester. Traditional membership. A corporate membership is a company employee membership. And on the traditional membership, I think we're all very familiar with that. We're all in that, or at least for most of all of us, we're in that. So we're familiar with that one. But the corporate one is more for a company and the employees of that company to be members. The family membership is very similar to the corporate membership category, but it focuses on the Rotary family. Young professional membership, the more affordable dues structure and more flexible expectations for participants. And I would encourage everybody not to limit the definition of professional, because a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, a teacher, they are professionals. If you do a service or do a job, you are a professional at what you do. So encourage us to expand that definition of what we call professional. Associate member is some clubs use associate members as a trial period to engage prospective members. Or it could be that somebody who may have a affinity for what we do in Rotary, but just not yet ready to join, but would like to be participating in the projects we do. An honorary member is to recognize their individuals who have distinguished themselves and embody the Rotary ideals. And those are considered friends of Rotary. If you want to take a few moments as we're going through in the next slides, you're welcome to type in the chat box what different types of membership maybe has your club adopted, or even what membership types your club should consider. So if you want to put that in the chat box, that would be great. Seeing any at this point, so please do share. There we go. A Rotary spouse. Thank you, Tom. Adopted corporate and family. There we go. Yeah. We are a progressive group of Rotarians. Look at that. Senior associates. That is great. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Go Country has vocational memberships.
Oh, okay. There you go. Vocational. We didn't even have that on our list. Thank you, Robin. I missed that. You just have to love this technology, everything going on simultaneously.
And Mammoth has all but the young professionals, where Alturas has corporate and family.
All right. All right. Great. Thank you, everyone. So let's start with those who have already shown that enthusiasm for Rotary. And I'm talking about Rotaractors. They're energetic, passionate, and driven community-minded professionals. They are critical to the future of Rotary. That's why we're conducting research, and that when I say we, that's Rotary International, to find out what they want from Rotary and how we can attract others like them. At the corporate level, Rotary International is developing new products and alternative participant models to share with you as clubs and club members. Regardless of where people live or how they or want to join and how they want to take action with us. At the club level, we need to actively invest in bringing in more people with different backgrounds. There are so many ways to create new channels into Rotary, bringing family members to events, which we've highlighted in the chat box, involving local Rotaractors, updating clubs' websites and social media pages on a more frequent basis. There are all kinds of leaders in communities, and we want those leaders connected to Rotary. So let's open up our thinking about who a leader can be and then reach out to these new people. Start a dialogue about how we can mutually benefit from their participation in our activities and events. What holds true with the Rotaract is true with Interact. These young people are the future of Rotary. Consider doing local or even global projects with other Rotary clubs, either on a local basis or even within your state or your country. Your club can expand your reach through involving Rotarians and non-Rotarians through these joint projects and events. You will hear this theme mentioned quite frequently throughout today's workshop because we are working to benefit our community and make a difference. Our actions will be seen and known by those who are not yet Rotarians. As Rotary International President Shekhar calls it the magic sauce to achieving new Rotarians, asking non-Rotarians to join us in a service project, all the while making friends, serving people, and experiencing the projects. Here's another way to revitalize our clubs and share our values with a new audience through partnerships with new organizations and agencies. Already Rotary clubs partner with schools and universities, the local Chamber of Commerce, local governments, social service agencies, and other volunteer organizations, which is all fantastic. But we need to encourage every club to do more to collaborate with and involve others in their communities. Let's look around our communities and see all the ways that people are connecting through shared professional goals, for example, or shared cultures or interests. When we think beyond traditional partnerships, we will show we're an open, engaging organization. We demonstrate that positive change starts with welcoming the talents and ideas of others. Here's a few examples. Music in the Mountain does the Area 4 music contest. The grocery outlet that I highlighted before, located in Bishop, owned by a Rotarian, provided gift cards for struggling students and their families during the initial COVID pandemic. The National Park Service, the Manzanar National Historic Site located near Independence, California. Manzanar was, if those are unfamiliar with it, was a location during World War II where 110,000 men, women, and children of Japanese immigrants ineligible for citizenship and Japanese American citizens were incarcerated. During the time these incarcerees were there at the Manzanar War Relocation Center, and hence the orchard that had been located at the designated site. Rotary Club of Bishop Sunrise and the Rotary Club of Bishop assisted the National Park Service staff in replanting a number of pear trees. Those trees are now producing a plentiful crop that has been donated to local food banks, assisted living centers, and other similar community need organizations. Again, helping with our community. Consider conducting a diversity assessment for your club. Everyone who engages with Rotary, no matter who they are, where they are in the world, or how long they have been connected with Rotary, should feel valued, respected, and welcomed. These ideals reflect what current and prospective members want and expect from their Rotary experience. Respect, ethical leadership, inclusion, and the opportunity to work together to create more just open, and welcoming communities for all people. Diversity has long been one of Rotary's core values and continues to serve as a foundation for how we interact with each other and our communities. But we know there is much more to learn. And in order to ensure that our organization culture reflects and exemplifies diversity, equity, inclusion in all ways. Reaching out to underrepresented populations in your community for membership also requires a deeper understanding of what Rotary is and what Rotary can do. Using inclusive language that is not offensive to others, but is inviting to everyone. To achieve the goal of having women comprise 30% of membership and leadership by June 2023, we need to take positive action in this area. Detecting and avoiding unconscious bias and discrimination, understanding and avoiding sexual harassment, and calling out inappropriate behavior as a bystander. We talked about bullying, and bullying does not just apply to those of our young population. It involves everybody, young, old, male, female, different ethnicity groups. It all plays a role. So our recognition as Rotarians to demonstrate the respectful inclusion is important. And even though we do all this, it's important to share our story with our club, our district, and those that are in our community. So using the People of Action materials and other resources in the Brand Central to learn how to show your club or district's impact through the media or social media and in the community. Strengthening your public image can help you attract like-minded people to your club, form new partnerships for service, and build a stronger and more diverse network of collaborators. Some very useful resources, like I've mentioned, the Brand Central, and is also the Learning Center, a great place to learn about Rotary and how it impacts the world. We must first understand what it means to be a Rotarian so that we can then share our story and experience with others. We need to be open, proud of what we do and why we do it, and why it makes us happy. We have a tremendous story to tell. Share your story of why you are a Rotarian. Question 1. We are now going to spend about 10 minutes in a breakout group discussing the following questions. Question number 1 is, discuss strategies for connecting, communicating, and collaborating with new audience and partners. Question number 2, discuss methods to promote your club projects and their impact in your community. Again, the 2 questions together, discussing your strategies for connecting, communicating, and collaborating with new audiences and partners, and discuss methods to promote your club projects and their impact in your community. So again, we're going to take 10 minutes. We're going to go into 4 different groups. And after the 10 minutes, we'll come back and share your opportunity for discussing these 2 questions. Robin?
Jeff, as we get started, we've got some questions in the chat. One is what is the difference between Rotaract and young professionals? And then Doug made a comment about the Rotary Community Corps. And then Lindy has some comments too, so you may want to cover those.
All right. Unless anybody would have any, my assessment of the difference between Rotaract and young professionals is essentially the same. And because it's the same population base that is a part of Rotaract and who are the young professionals. Which makes it a little bit more challenging now, which is a great thing, that Rotaract members are actually now, Rotaract as a club is a part of Rotary International in the sense of in par with Rotary clubs. But it is an opportunity for collaboration. And I think if you don't mind, Lois, I'm going to kind of highlight something that you talked about with regard to the Mammoth Lakes Club being an older and wiser club, looking for that young, vibrant adults that can help enhance. And so I think there's an opportunity there that maybe you're not able to attract a younger population to your club, but if you were to partner with a Rotaract club, that's going to meet your comment that you made about, hey, we really need some younger people in our club. Well, they might not necessarily be members, but they're Rotarians because they're Rotaractors. So I think there's a good balance there. So I don't know if anybody else would like to share something with regard to that, but that's at least from my perspective.
Well, Rotary Youth Exchange students coming back are a great group of people to involve in our club because they already know the benefits of Rotary. They've already been our ambassadors. So asking them to participate in our programs and then actually join the club is honoring our selection of them for that role.
Yeah, which is what Lindy put in there with regards to our Rotary alumni and parents of youth programs and so forth. Are wonderful opportunities to touch them and have them have that experience of Rotary. And in Doug's comment, Rotary Community Core are friends of our clubs and a channel for new club members. Exactly. So thank you all for taking that time and coming back. So what we will do is, I think we were 4 groups, if I'm not mistaken. So if we would have a representative from each group that would want to share a little bit more and expand on what you may have talked in individually within your group. Do we have?
And Jeff, it needs to be quick. You've got 5 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 30-second commercial. What's your elevator speech? Anybody have anything? Don't let the time scare you.
Well, because I'm the mouthy one in the group. I really think that the thing I want to see members do is step up and overcome their reluctance to just ask. If you just ask someone to either participate, to join, to partner, the worst answer you could get is no, and then we can just like flip that to a maybe, because basically people want to help. But if they don't know that they can, how will we get them involved?
Exactly. A wonderful point. It is a wonderful point. Any other thoughts from anybody else? We're down to 6. Sarah.
And I agree with Chessa that asking, the answer is always no until you do. And to help my president establish that ability to just ask, I told her I would be more than happy to be her spokesperson because I don't have a problem making phone calls. Emails are fine, but a phone call, to me, takes you much further because they have to interact with you. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, no, that's great. All right, we're into the minutes left here. So again, as you learn, each of the 4 priorities today will help you direct you and your club to build your action plan. And Rotary's action plan builds on our past successes and sets your future direction to ensure that we continue to grow, unite people, and make a lasting impact. We encourage all members to review their action plan and think about your own club and district goals and find meaningful ways to align those goals with your plan. Have open and ongoing discussions, just like we've done today, in your club and throughout the district about the new priorities and objectives. Then use those talks to shape your own strategies. All right, we are going to take a 5-minute break and be back after that 5-minute period. So we have until 11:05. So another time to go grab a cup of coffee or go to the restroom. So take a 5-minute break and we're back at 11:05.
And Karen will be our next speaker talking about enhanced participant engagement. So
we'll have Karen.
I just want to welcome you all back to our Vibrant Club workshop today. Thank you for spending the morning with us. And we definitely appreciate your time and also your talents to Rotary. You know, this morning so far, we've listened to Win speak about our priority of increase your impact with ideas of extending our service power into our community and into the world. And then we moved to Jeff, and he was talking to us about the priority of expand our reach and giving us good information about different types of club formats, different types of membership formats, and how we can attract new members. And so we've got just two more priorities to open up this morning. And I have the opportunity to talk a little bit with you about opening up the priority of enhanced participant engagement. Now, before I go any further, I want you to think about these 4 priorities in a little bit of a different way. I don't know about you, but sometimes if I can think of something graphically in my mind, it helps me understand things a little bit better. And I came up with this idea that if we were a 4-legged stool and our clubs were the seat on that stool, and the 4 legs came down from that stool, and each of those 4 legs were the priorities that we've been looking at today. And I don't know about you, but I actually teach a class, and in one of my classes, I have a stool that not all the legs are of equal distance. And so it's a little wobbly at times when I sit on that stool. And it made me think the other day as I was wobbling, feeling like there was an earthquake happening in our school building, that maybe there's something to this about looking at all of these 4 priorities and having them looked at so that we can see how we can enhance and strengthen our clubs to become more vibrant. And if we look at it all the time, then we're going to keep them all in the same level, and our club is going to be sailing strong, as Anita would like us to do, you know, on that water, moving forward, floating well, and having a good breeze in our sail. But when we come to a point where maybe we're not looking at one thing or another, we kind of list. We might have a problem moving. So think about these in that manner of if we look at them to help support us in creating that vibrant club. Now, when we also look at these, we also have to consider that we need to use a different viewpoint. We can't always look at something through our own eyes because we're happy, we're satisfied, we keep coming back. But we also need to look at it from a different viewpoint, from our members' viewpoints. And so that can also help us to understand a little bit more about how these 4 priorities really do work to support our club and being vibrant to our membership and to our communities at large. So let's continue. Let's look at the idea of enhanced participation, participant engagement. Oops, now I've run into a problem. Hold on. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Well, you know, when you think about it, there's some words in there that are highlighted, and I think they're very, very important. Together, of course, is the first word that we come to. And when we work together, we get more done. People, well, that's who we want to be working with, are other people. You know, I don't have a dog or a cat anymore, but when I did have them, they were great personalities to be with. But boy, after this year, I really understand that people are where I need to be, and to be having that opportunity to exchange with them. So together, a group of people can create change. So that is so true. But I think I want us to think about how we create change in our clubs so that we're supporting each other in the best manner we can possibly do. So that would enable us to look at some ideas about maybe when we were talking, Wynn had mentioned Ravi's statement about projects that change lives. projects do change lives in more ways than just the item or the action that we are doing for the person who we are giving that service to. It changes our lives. And so I think that's an important piece to look at when we're looking at how do we engage participation. When we are engaged and we are excited about doing something, we will be a part of a group that's working together, and we will unite as a group of people to have a greater impact on those around us. So make sure that we are thinking about how we engage and to change things. Right now, what I want us to do is, gosh, you know, when I talk to my students in class, it's always amazing when I talk to them and ask them why they came to our school. And they all have a different reason. So I was thinking about the number of people in Rotary and the number of reasons why they joined. We heard from Sarah earlier today. She was saying she was looking for a way to get out and socialize, just to see people. So, but we all have our different whys. I joined up because I figured I can do better service to my community if I'm doing it with someone else. So what I want us to do is break out into our breakout rooms, and I want us to listen to the reason why other folks joined Rotary. And then as we're doing that, you might want to consider the conversation and the thought process of, does my club or can my club meet these needs of the other Rotarians that I am listening to in my small breakout group? So Robin, if you could go ahead and break us out, and we'll do about a 6-minute breakout room for why did I join Rotary? Thank you for being in our breakout rooms. And we'd also like to kind of hear from you in the breakout rooms now that you've listened to why other people joined Rotary. Can your clubs meet those diverse needs that we have out there? Do you see yourselves being able to do that? Do we have anybody who would like to raise their hand and take part in this discussion with the whole group?
Well,
Sarah, you have a hand. Is that clapping or is that to raise your hand?
Raise my hand.
Okay.
So several of us that mentioned why we joined, we all kind of had the same reasons. One of them that just stuck out though was friendship. And I'm finding that by attending these meetings, that the friendships that I'm gaining are just incredible. But it's the goal of, will we meet these needs? Yes, we will. I have 101% faith, because now, as a person who has volunteered quite some time by herself in different areas, I'm very proud to be involved in a club that's going to not only help me, but help me achieve the goals that I feel I've been put on this earth to do. And so yeah.
Great.
And I feel the same way with the rest of with Doug and Tony and Stacy, that they too will be meeting those needs as well.
With your new friends.
Yes, and that's just it. I mean, that the word friends really is, it kind of, I don't want to say it makes me sad, but knowing how many members that there are, I mean, everyone has a reason for joining, but man, if you don't interact, why are you a member? That's just me. It's like, you don't join unless you're going to interact and be a part of. So
right. Well, great. Thanks, Sarah. I'm so glad you're finding Rotary to really meet your needs and support you and what you want to be able to do in your communities. So thank you so much for joining us today. It looks like I have Kim up with her hand raised too.
You do. It reinforced for me that people join for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on our board right now, and we've got several people that are insistent that people joined for one reason. You know, they're here for this, and they're not. They may be, but they may be here for a whole different reason. And we need to make sure we cater to all of those needs, not just the reason that And we've got some people that, no, I joined for networking, business networking, and by God, we have to do that in person. And that's not the case these days, that's the only reason that people have joined, and there are other ways we can help meet those needs.
Yes, definitely,
So
definitely.
I appreciate hearing from everybody on that.
Good, good. Was there anybody else wanted to mention anything?
Karen, I'll mention something.
Yes,
This
Aida.
is actually part of my message. I asked the group, why did you join Rotary? But more importantly, why do you stay?
Mhm.
What is your passion today? Because I think it's important for us to know what drives us. And in my book, it's always doing great projects with my friends. The fellowship in Rotary is just so important. So I just wanted to share that.
Definitely. I think that we can all agree with so many of the things, and why we joined Rotary. Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry Hall, you've raised your hand. There you go.
Here we go. I wanted to share, because of what other people are here saying, I want to share a quick story. There was a gal that I had met here in Reno that I thought would be a good Rotarian. I invited her to a meeting. I met with her twice, two separate occasions. Once Tasha was with me. The second time I was by myself, I think. And I had given her all the information that you normally would give a candidate for Rotary. And I gave her information about the club. I gave her the website for the district and particularly for Rotary International. And so the second coffee I had with her, I said, after we had a little chit chat, I said, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask me? And she said, no, I don't. She said, I read everything you gave to me. I appreciated going to the meeting. I went to the Rotary website. I read everything I could get to there. And she said, Rotary represents the way I want to live my life. And I about fell out of my chair because that's the thing that I think is the selling point for a lot of people when we offer them membership in Rotary. For many people, it is part of how they want to live their life. But this gal just laid it out for me in a perfect way. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone respond to my question that way, certainly. And I tell that story for a reason, because I think there are some things in Rotary that can make people's lives more meaningful, and they will feel the happiness that was mentioned a few moments ago. So that's my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, for bringing that up. Siegel and Gale actually did a study back in, I think it was 2013, 2014, and kind of came up with some reasons why people join Rotary, but also why people stay. And we probably heard some of these whys in our group. Someone invited me. It's good for my business. A friend invited me to be there. I helped with a service project, even though I wasn't a member of Rotary, but I really liked what we did together. I'm looking to do service in my community, so I found something, a passageway to do that. Or I was involved with Rotary youth programs in some way, shape, or form, and now I want to give back to what it gave me in my life. So I think there's so many different reasons why. We also see that in the Siegel and Gale study that one of the main reasons why people stayed were the friendships, the bonds, those relationships that we create with people when we work shoulder to shoulder in doing things to support and serve our communities, not only here at home, but also across the world. So Rotary does amazing things. It gives us someone to partner with to help us be able to help others. I think that so many of us are looking for that. We want to be able to be an answer to problems in our community and answer to problems in the world. Rotary gives us that opportunity, and it gives us friends to do it with. So I think that we really can see that that's just a strong possibility is why people stay is because of those relationships. And if relationships are so strong and important, then we need to figure out how we meet our members where they are. Not necessarily what my eyes tell me, but what the eyes of somebody else is telling me that they want to do. I think Kim had mentioned that it's not everybody joins. That's what I wanted us to see. Not everybody joins Rotary for the same reason, and that we need to be there to help and support them to make sure that they get what they want out of Rotary. So I think one of the things that we need to ask ourselves about our whys are, has our club met our own expectations? And does our club have those programs that are going to meet the members, all your members' desires? And how do you go about finding that? How do you go about finding out if you're doing that? One suggestion would be to do a membership survey and to find out. Membership survey can be something online if you want to do it that way. It can be pencil and paper if you want to do it that way. But I personally think the best way to do it, and I have been brought into a new club in the last couple of years, and this is how they did it. They met with me personally. They made sure they made that personal connection. As Sarah says, it's a little bit hard to know somebody's true desires and feelings unless we speak with them. So a cup of coffee, a phone call, meeting at the park where the kids can play while you chat about what you want to be able to do within the club. We need to make sure that we're meeting our club members where they're at. And the only way we can do that is to understand where they are at. Whether it's a young family that you'd love to have join your Rotary Club, or one of those longtime members who you maybe haven't seen in a while, or if you have seen them, they've been a little bit quiet. Let's not forget to reach out and to ask them. Just because I joined 10 years ago for one reason doesn't mean I'm staying here for that same reason. My desires may have changed from being a stay-at-home mom to being an educator to going back to being at home again and now being a caregiver for my father. So my life has changed, so my needs have also changed. And I know everybody's needs have changed. I think some of us have found through COVID that our home lives have also changed. We've had people move back home again so that they might be able to save money. And we've had other people who have moved out of our state and are looking for new clubs to join. So let's remember that as our membership fluctuates and the members who have stayed with us for a long time, all of us deserve the opportunity to have that membership survey done, whether that be a cup of coffee and an opportunity for us to talk, or maybe you can create one or use one from Rotary International on how you're meeting your membership's needs. So I think that someone brought up that membership satisfaction equals happy members, which equals involvement. I'm not sure if my math teacher at school would agree with all the equal signs there, but that is truly, I think, if we put those things together, we're going to find out that we have a very vibrant club because we have members who are happy, satisfied, and involved in their community and with building new relationships in their communities. So I believe that we will see those kind of things being there to support us. I'd like us to look at and talk, because I think one of the ways we learn so much about it is by having that opportunity to chat with somebody in our groups. And so we're going to do breakout groups again. And the questions that I want you to look at: how are you ensuring that your members are getting a value proposition for their Rotary membership? Think of it like you've just joined the gym. And are we fulfilling that need at the gym, or did we waste our money on that membership? How do we go? How do we make sure we bring those people to keep coming back and involved in what we're doing? So our members are really our clients. So how are we keeping them coming back? Are we having great socials? Something that we don't always think about as we're getting back together: is the food good? Is our area clean? All those things I think are real important. Are we doing things that our clients, our membership wants to do? And am I willing to share my Rotary experience with those closest to me, with my colleagues, my other teacher friends that I have, with my best friend from high school? Do I want them to be a part of Rotary? Or am I reaching out to them to also give them the slice of Rotary that they could also enjoy? So if you would mind, we would like to put you out into breakout groups. I think we'll probably do maybe 7 minutes. Worked out well for the last one. I think that maybe okay, great. I see a couple of thumbs up there, so thank you. We'll go ahead and do about another 7 minutes. So we're looking at value proposition for those who have their Rotary membership. How do we keep those people coming back? And are you willing to share Rotary with others? So Robin, if you could go ahead and put us into breakout groups. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your time together in your breakout rooms. I think that we can take one or two people to maybe give us a little idea of what you came back with from, are you able to meet that value proposition for your members? And it looks like I've got Kim with her hand up.
Karen, thanks. I volunteered to report out for our group. And I think the important part of our discussion was making sure that groups still met during COVID and making it fun and engaging when you did. A lot of those were obviously by Zoom. And remembering that Zoom can engage people, I mean, not only engage the people who've been in your meetings routinely, but can engage the older members of your club that maybe can't get there anymore, but would love to still see everybody and be involved. And then younger members, inviting younger members in who maybe can't make a meeting in the middle of the day if you're meeting in person, but can make it by Zoom sitting at their desk.
Definitely, definitely. So many of our members have such diverse needs that we need to make sure we are meeting them where they are. And that's definitely what Kim is talking about. I don't see any other hands raised.
Lois has got her hand up.
Okay, great. Lois.
Well, a couple things that we shared were just really reaching out to members who maybe haven't come back and really letting them know they're missed, we want you to come. That has worked well for me. And then the value of our programs is incredibly important for folks wanting to be there and feeling that they get not just friendship, but value from our meetings.
Yeah, definitely. Good thoughts on those, Lois. Thank you so much. Here, off to the side on my slide or some other ideas. I just want to point out a couple of them. This idea of share the work, get people involved, spread the wealth around. We can't do everything on ourselves. We need to make sure that we're inviting those people in and giving them a reason to be there, not just to sit and take up a space when they're coming to lunch, but share the work, make sure that everybody is involved and being a part of that. Also, the idea of using district programs. We have a lot of wonderful programs out there, and sometimes the information gets to the president, maybe one of the vice president or an avenue of service person. Don't stop the information there. Hand that off so that, because you might not know somebody has a new desire that they would like to learn something more about. So by stopping the information from getting to everyone, you then put a roadblock in their satisfaction of their Rotary membership. Things on the Rotary website, very, very important. Always tell your people to go look at the Rotary website. There's so many different things that are there. One of the things that I think we're always looking at is leadership within our group. And I think we've mentioned a couple ways that we can make sure that we're supporting those who want to take on leadership. I think that we need to consciously develop strategies within our own clubs about how we're going to support others and allowing them to have leadership pieces of our clubs. And it doesn't mean that they have to just be the club president. There are so many other things our club needs to do, and we need leaders in each of those spots in order to make them happen and take a little bit off the shoulders of the president so that everybody is having that opportunity. We're giving them a reason to be involved. We need them to be involved. So developing those strategies of delegation for those who are in leaderships of areas of our clubs. Using the RI Learning Center. We have a couple of things on the IR Learning Center right now for you to look at. And I know that some people are frustrated because they have a problem getting to the IR Learning Center. You need to log on to the IR website, My Rotary. You need to use your email address and your password to log on in order to be able to watch those videos. It's just one of those privacy things that they won't let just anybody in. You have to be a member of Rotary. So make sure that you're using those. And there's some in there. Toastmaster ones are wonderful. I even show them to some of my students about how to speak to a group. So let's always use that. We also have District 5190 leadership. Oh, I've just lost my screen share.
No, it's still on.
Okay, I've lost my screen share.
Okay.
So we have a district leadership seminars that are happening with Gail Ellingwood and Roberta Pickett running those. We have a myriad of things that go on that help support developing leaders, not only within our clubs, but also developing leaders to help us within our district areas. We're always looking for people to help support us in putting on web workshops like these. And we're always having so many programs that we need people to come step forward and have opportunities to be a part of those, but also the leadership development that's also involved with doing things through the website. So please make sure that you take advantage of that and look for those things to help build the leadership. Now, I want you to think about just one thing. This is a brain exercise. So far, we've talked about 3 of those strategic priorities so far this morning. Are you seeing where they all work together? Are you seeing when we're talking about enhancing participation, we've also talked about how to expand our reach and how to impact others around us. And we will, of course, be talking about increasing our ability to adapt. So I think that we have those opportunities. We just need to make sure we're taking advantage of those and seeing how all these things fit together to support one another. And by having a vibrant club, we are supporting those attributes that our club members are asking us to do for them. So take those strategies, and if you take those strategies, you can move them into action. And that action is where we really cement the feeling of wanting to be there, of making sure that I want to go to that meeting every week to be a part of it. So that kind of brings us to my last piece that I want to talk about. I want to talk about how do we create that welcoming environment. So, and what does a welcoming environment look like? So I ran through a couple of ideas after talking to a few people offline about what they think of as a welcoming environment. And let's see how many of these you can do with your group. Do you have greeters to help people find their rooms? Do you have signage that helps you get there? Do you have a membership who supports your visitors and guests as they come in, or even online as they come in? And to make sure that if they're in person, they're sitting with a table that's going to bring them in and talk about Rotary and make sure they feel comfortable. Is your meeting space clean, neat, accessible, clean bathrooms, making sure those things that we all look forward to are there. Maybe you're not even meeting in a brick and mortar building. Maybe you're meeting at the park. Does the park have the facilities? One for families to be involved, picnic tables, bathrooms, play equipment, and those kind of things. Be proud of your accomplishments is one way of being welcoming. Showing what we do to other people is very, very important. Meet people where they are. We can't all be in person not right now, unfortunately. So don't forget your hybrid meetings, or if you have to, go to full Zoom meetings, but make sure that we are there meeting people where they are. Make sure you're passing on that information. Like I said, don't hold information up that comes to you. There's probably someone in your club that really enjoys those kind of things. We have our new not our new avenue of service, but our new area of focus. And many of our groups have people who are so interested in our environment. Pass on the information. Have variety in your club programs and service and fundraisers to make sure everybody has something they want to do. Going to a big stuffy fancy dinner where you're going to ask me to sit down and eat and listen to speeches, I might not be too excited about that. But if you're having a walk or a run or a disc golf program, I might be out for that. So always think about how you can change things. Celebrate those successes, celebrate those people who are involved in your lives of your group, celebrate your community. And again, follow up with thank yous and thank those people for being involved. So some ways to create that welcoming environment. Do we have 1 or 2 other ways from the group? Well, let's see. If we raise a hand, I'm not seeing any hands.
Karen, I think we are getting close.
Thank you very much.
Just a couple minutes. So
okay, I'm not seeing any of my other notifications coming up. So I'm flying blind here, folks. Thank you, Zoom. Let's see. We also wanted to mention that there are those pieces of information that you can use that are on the district website and also the RI website. So make sure that you go ahead and see if you can be involved and use those resources to the betterment of your program to make it one that is vibrant. So I really want to thank you for being involved with our enhanced participant engagement session of the Vibrant Club Workshop. Remember, I'm the third leg to that stool, so don't miss the fourth one. We have Berta coming up to talk about increase your ability to adapt. Thank you again for all taking part in our community and Rotary and our workshop today.
Well, thank you all for sticking around for the last session of our day, and for really that fourth leg of the stool that Karen was talking about. You know, at the very beginning, when Anita first was telling us about the overarching concept of the action plan, she mentioned, and Karen mentioned it too, that all of these both overlap and interrelate. And that's certainly true. And so you're going to be hearing things in this session that you know we touched on in the other areas. That doesn't mean it's that they all fit together and they all work together and they're all important. So this is one of the things that we hope that you take back. We've integrated these 4 action plans from Rotary International down to the strategic plan at the District 5190 level. And we hope you take them back to your clubs themselves and integrate them into your club's action plans. Oh, where's that little arrow at the bottom? I can't find it.
You can use your right and left arrow on your keyboard too.
Right. So this really, when we talk about increasing the ability to adapt, first of all, I have to back up and say I'm Berta Pickett. I'm the immediate past district governor for District 5190, and I'm from the Rotary Club of Amador Upcountry, which is in Amador County in California. And this increasing your ability to adapt is all about change, right? And we don't always like the concept of change. You know, back in the 90s, there across the world, corporations and organizations were looking for ways to increase productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness. And that really became the quality movement, looking for continuous improvement in all of our organizations. And as you can imagine, people were reluctant to change and often heard, but that's the way we've always done it around here. I think we've heard that one before too. Well, Dr. Edwards Deming, he was one of the world's quality gurus. And he was speaking at a conference about quality and process improvement and continuous improvement. And a young man stood up and he said, Dr. Deming, do we really have to change? And Dr. Deming turned to the young man and he said, no, survival is not mandatory. And think about that. Survival is not mandatory. I think that's a message for Rotary today as well. Why? Why is it important for us to think about change? So I'd like to ask you guys, why? Why do you think that our Rotary clubs have to change? So if you can just write a few comments into the chat box, why do we have to change? Or do you think we have to change? Maybe you don't think we have to do. If we do, why? So if you can write a few of your comments or your thoughts into the chat box, what would you like to say? I don't see any comments so far. Typing away. There we go. To keep current and refreshing. Yes, absolutely. We don't want to stagnate. Absolutely, Chessa. The world is changing, so do we, to help folks to better engage. When we don't always have everybody as participating. These are great ideas, you guys. To change as the culture changes and the wants and needs of our generations change. Yes, as we bring in newer members, and we were talking about that before, their needs, just as we've said, are different than perhaps we've had before. To continue to serve the world, we need to change. and to meet the needs and diversity of our members. All of these are fabulous. Without it, we go backwards, or as Dr. Deming said, we don't survive. Those are awesome, awesome concepts. And you know, Rotary has both gained and lost 1 million members over the last 10 years. That's crazy. We bring people in, but we don't keep enough of them. The world is changing, so we need to adapt along with the world. We don't have to change everything, but we do need to be more adaptable to the needs of our members and to the needs of our communities, because I think those have changed too. Well, if you think back to the last 18 months, well, I think we've done a little bit of that adaptability. These last 18 months of COVID have definitely been a catalyst, haven't they? So, oops. So if you think about what the catalyst has been, we've actually made a number of changes in our Rotary clubs. We've all talked about them in some of these other sessions. And I would like to just really highlight a few of them again, because I think we have to remember that it's not as if we've stood still. We have made significant changes. That's one of the things as district governor last year, I was so proud of all of the clubs and the changes they made to keep going. Were we afraid that we'd lose some clubs? We were, but we didn't lose clubs. In fact, 20 of our clubs actually grew in the last year. So what are some of the successful changes that you saw whether it was yours or another club made? You can either raise your electronic hand or you can put it into the chat box. And I see a hand raised. Kathy, I see yours is the top of my screen, so I'm going to ask you first.
Well, one of the things that our club did is we've started in the last year or so, we've done a lot more what I'll call one and done projects to keep people involved, but they're in the community service area, but it's just like, you know, in for a mask giveaway and then done, where we can be safe in the environment, but still be doing community service. So it's kept the members really engaged because we've had so many opportunities rather than longer range projects.
I love that. You actually did two things. You did the social distancing and made it safe that way, but you made the types of projects you did maybe a little different as well. Who else? Any other hands raised? I see some of the comments on Zoom. Obviously doing hybrid meetings or just Zoom itself. 2 years ago, how many of us had even ever heard of Zoom? I mean, not. So that's been huge. Different way to do district grants and giving us more time to finish things up. I think that's been different as well. Changing our outreach to the community and the mask giveaway, supporting our drive-through shot clinic. Definitely food needs to the community, and those food needs have significantly increased. At least I know in our community it has. So any other comments? Any hands raised? Online fundraising? Yes, we did. I know our club did a drive-through crab feed. It was definitely different. So all of these things are good changes that we've already made. Well, let's start to think about ways that our clubs could even be more adaptable. Okay, so if you think about it, I'd like you to just think about your own club now and think about these 5 areas: your club experience, service projects and socials, your members and your membership, your club image, your public image, sometimes we call it, and then the business and the operations, the processes actually within your club. Think about your own club, and we're going to do a poll asking you which are the top 3 areas that your personal club needs the most change in. So if you can just mark the top 3 where you think your club needs change. Robin's put it up on the screen, so if you can go ahead and do that. Wow, those jumped pretty fast. Let's get the rest of you in this poll. We'll give you a few more seconds to fill that out. The top 3 where you need change. So what I see here, a little bit, we need a few more people. So our members themselves seems to be the area where we need to take care of the needs of our members. That seems to be the area where we have the greatest need in all our clubs to make some changes. The second one I see is our service and our socials. And it'd be curious to know what that actually means in terms of specificity. And the third one I see the third highest is our image. How do we get our image out there, our public image, share with the rest of the world? So if we take a look at these, the poll results for these, we have some interesting things that we can do. We want to be able to take a minute to think about your club. When you answered these questions, you had some thoughts in mind about what it meant for you. Yeah, you picked your top 3, but I have a feeling that you know more specifically what that would look like in your club. So I just want you to take a second, a minute, on our worksheets that hopefully most of you have downloaded. And if not, you can just take a piece of blank paper and write them down. But for each of those 5 areas, just scribble down a note or 2 of what you'd like to see different in your club. So whether it's in your club experience or about your service projects and socials, your membership, how can we improve that relationship with our members? What can we do to improve our public image? And last but not least, business and operations. What do we need to do differently within there to make a difference? So you're just writing down your ideas about your club. I don't know about you. And actually, I see you still writing, so I'm going to give you another minute. Okay, finish up that thought as you write that down. And I don't know about you, but I know when I start thinking about this, sometimes I feel like, you know, am I just being critical? Is it just me who feels this way about my club? I don't know if it's just me being critical or are there other things that we need to do, you know, in my club. And so the best way when you think about it, this is just, we just ask you your opinion, but how do we know if it's others that feel this way too? Well, obviously, one of the best ways to do is to ask. And there's a wonderful resource that we have. It was one of the ones that was sent out as a handout, and it's called the Club Health Check. And it's on, as we said, it was sent out by Ginny. It's also on the district website on the button that says Vibrant Club Materials, and you can find it in various places, both on Rotary International as well as our district website. But this is it's a great tool that you can use to find out what the rest of your club members feel. It's broken down into 5 categories. Strangely enough, it's those same 5 categories that we just asked you to take the toll about. And what it does is it doesn't ask you questions. It actually has statements that is listed out, and it asks you to mark what is true about your club. So at the end, you basically know the things that you haven't marked are the areas where potentially you have opportunities to look for adaptability or change or improvement. And at the end of each section, it also has since this is a health check, it has what we call a prescription, some ideas of ways to make your club better. So one of the examples in one of the categories, and this is under club experience, one of the statements is, we recognize somebody in the community or in our club at least monthly. If that's true, you mark it. If it's not, it's something you might consider doing. Another statement was, I've made international connections through Rotary. Do I do that within my club? If you aren't, maybe it's an opportunity that you have to explore to find out if your club members are interested in doing more on the international level. So this Rotary Club Health Check is a great tool that you can use with your club members to ask them to fill it out. And then you've got the answers right there about what they think needs to be changed, or where areas where you can be more adaptable within your club. So we're going to take an opportunity to actually explore that in a little bit more depth. And this breakout we're going to do is for you to do that. There are going to be 5 breakouts, and each of them, you might want to take a picture of this. Breakout number 1 is going to be talking about club experience. If you're in breakout number 2, you're going to be talking about your service projects and your socials. Breakout number 3 is about members and membership. 4 is image, and 5 business and operations. So like in the other breakouts, please assign a recorder and a spokesperson. And within your breakout, share ideas on how your clubs might change or be more adaptable in that assigned category that you are part of. So we're going to break out now. Robin, go ahead and send them all away. There you go. Welcome back, everybody. As I see you coming back from the break rooms, not everybody is back, but looking getting there.
Popcorn's popping.
Yep, absolutely. The popcorns are popping. So I hope that was you had some interesting discussions there about different ways that your clubs can become more adaptable. So we're going to have an opportunity now to actually talk about what you learned within your breakouts. So we're going to start with breakout room number 1, your club experience. So who was in breakout number 1?
Jeff's going to do our talking for us.
Yeah.
Jeff, awesome. What are some of the ideas?
So we had a great discussion, and some of the things that were highlighted was referencing to one in particular, mask giveaways, and how much that encourages interaction with both Rotarians and non-Rotarians, and how successful that was. And it also highlighted some of the indication of the different membership types. And there was some discussion about honorary members and making certain individuals honorary members who may not necessarily have the time to participate as a full Rotarian, but yet it makes that connection with them to be able to do that. And things that were mentioned were, somebody who may be a member of Congress, or somebody who may be in the state legislature or in state government, that might be able to fit that sort of category of just being an honorary member, but making that connection to Rotary. And then mention of other civic groups, be it Lions Club, Optimus, things of that nature, that they may have same passion of community service that they do for an organization that they're members of, but would be willing to join Rotary as well. So
Interesting when you talk about that is just inviting them to, whether it's honorary or the other organizations, to come in and be speakers to share what's going on with them in either in that political arena, if you will, and I don't mean politics, but just in that governance arena, and or with the other social clubs that could tell you what they're working on too, give you ideas.
Yeah, and in some instances, some may actually become members from that. So again, just providing that framework for which they might find attractive.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome.
How about breakout number 2 around service projects and socials?
Where's Lois? Would you like to, why don't you start? I hope I'm on. I was off again, but I hope I'm back on.
You are. Yeah.
Okay.
Lois,
Okay.
did you want to speak?
She's muted.
Okay.
Lois, can you unmute there?
Yes. Okay. So I will just share. We kind of talked about socials and how difficult they have been to find venues that are safe, as well as Kathleen shared kind of a concern of a club reluctance to put any money towards that. So you plan a social thing and everything has to come from the members and not sponsored by the club. And Wynn was helpful, I think, in saying that it doesn't have to be that way. Certainly the club can use some of their regular club funds to sponsor those activities. So,
right. So anything else on socials is really an area, I think that it goes back to what we talked about of building the friendships and maintaining the friendships that you have within the club. Socials are such a great way to do it because it takes away that business meeting part of our regular meetings, and you can just sit down with somebody else and talk and find out more about them and develop those relationships. So a very important part. What about members? Breakout number 3.
I've got that one, Berta.
Okay, Bob.
Probably it's obvious for many clubs is obtaining younger members. The second is more diverse members, not only age and ethnicity, but also vocations. Getting members with more energy to get us more engaged. Meeting the needs of all members. We spoke about the different meeting formats, and maybe create groups within your club that have different meeting preferences and encouraging them to exercise their meeting preferences. And if you ask members what they would like to see changed, make sure you follow up and don't just ignore, just don't collect the information and put it on a shelf. Make those changes.
Really good point, because if we ask and then we do nothing, what's the feeling then that your members have? Yeah, that you really don't care. You ask, but you really don't care. So great. Thank you, Bob. And okay, breakout number 4, image. Who'd like to speak? Do I see any hands? Who was in breakout number 4?
I think that was Jerry, but I think he ignored me when I said, Jerry, you can talk.
Hey, Jerry, why don't you talk?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. There were some interesting comments in our group. Trying to get public relations reactions from the media is more difficult in some communities than others, but one of our group indicated that you need to structure the public relations or the outreach to what the media type or outlet likes to hear. So if they seem to have a focus on youth, that's a good topic to bring forward to help create the image for Rotary. We heard that a couple of times. And then we also need to make sure that we're focusing on technology, social, internet, those kinds of things. And I think my experience in shopping around with some of our clubs, and my own might be at times fall into this category. We need to make sure everything is up to date. It's real easy to get behind on information that's posted to a website. So that's a part of that, staying tuned in with the technology. And then of course, people need to see things when they come to our websites that are interesting and things that they can relate to. So if I miss something, Chessa, you or Lindy or Walt can join in.
I like what you said about it shouldn't just be up to date, but it should be interesting. It's a good point. What is it that you want people to know about the club when they log into whether it's a Facebook page or Instagram or your website? So good point. Thank you, Jerry. And breakout number 5 was about business and operations. Who'd like to speak to that?
That would be me.
Okay.
It's Tony. Yeah, I was elected, that one of those appointed electing. I know. Yeah, voluntold, that's right. We talked about whether to fine or not fine for different reasons and what are the goods and bads of that. We talked about having board meetings open to the entire membership where they can't vote, but they could come and listen if they wanted to and even voice their opinion on something if they wanted to, and different ways to do that kind of things to make other members feel included and not like it's a secret society or something the board members are only and stuff. And we talked about different ways to handle when there's people talking and not allowing the president to perform the duties and the meeting agenda and stuff. And so those are the main points we talked about. I'm sure I missed some, didn't I, group? But that's about it.
Very good. Well, thank you. And thank you all of you for your contributions in the breakout. We really do have many opportunities to look at to say, what do our members want? And then what can we change? And how can we do that? So these are the things. I hope you were all taking notes because they were some great ideas out there and really important for us to look at going forward. So, you think about it, what does it really take for our clubs to change, right? I mean, it's one thing to talk about what needs to be done, but what do you really need? And I think there's a mindset and there's kind of a perspective that really would be helpful for all of us to have for those changes to really take place. And I think these are some of them. Be willing to accept some change. As I said earlier on, we don't have to change everything in our clubs. We have fabulous things going on in our clubs. And that's important to recognize and remember. We're not talking about full change, but some. Where do we need to do things differently? Be open to continuous improvement. In other words, don't just make one change. You say, okay, I'm done. This is something you need to be looking at always. Where can we be better? I like to think of it, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? Okay, we can always find something in ourselves or in our organization that we can do better. Be willing to take a few risks, and even if they don't work out, because sometimes by our mistakes, and I don't like to think of this as a mistake, but let's say it's a failure, we try it, it didn't work out, people weren't really happy, but we learned from it. I remember we changed meeting times and days in our club. We went from an evening club to a lunch club. It made it crazy for us. And we didn't like it. We tried it for 6 months and we changed back. So those are things that you learn, and it's okay to do that. Embrace technology. Jerry mentioned it, and all of us have in different times. what do we need to learn? Is there equipment needs that we need to change? Do we need some classes? Maybe have someone come in. We had someone in our club come in from our local computer shop, and they talked to us about passwords and security, and it was fascinating. You know, we can all learn. Invite and involve younger people, particularly not just into your club, but into your club leadership. Get them involved in your board, because they will bring those ideas to the board, and that is going to help start some of those changes, because that's the decision-making body of your club. Develop, and this was mentioned, obviously, Jeff, you mentioned it, develop a more diverse club membership. How can you bring in different types of people, different genders, different backgrounds, all of those? Diversity is such a broad topic. That's the whole point. Just let's make us as broad as our community, as broad as we possibly can. And I think that the more we can remember to keep it light, keep it fun, and remember to find the joy. You probably heard that from me once or twice before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So adaptability ideas to consider. Hold a visioning. For those of you who haven't had a visioning in your club, oh my gosh, it's a wonderful experience. And believe it or not, it's another thing that we're doing virtually these days. So you can, if you have a recent one that you did within the last few years, use the results from that to figure out what your club members want to do going forward. The visioning gives you information about what their needs and desires are and where they see the Rotary Club going. Include all, younger Rotarians in all facets of your club. Build continuity of leadership into club positions. This is a way that you can build adaptability too. When you have leadership, when you have a gap in leadership, sometimes we fall back to just the way things have always been done. But if you have continuity of leadership, you can move forward with a little bit more stability, I think. And it doesn't mean the leadership stays the same while some of your processes change. Encourage that leadership training and provide mentorship, because that's a way that we learned that part of being a leader is being adaptable to whatever happens. We found in the last couple of years, we have to be adaptable. We don't know what life is going to give us, whether it's a fire or if it's a pandemic. Ensure all voices are always heard and respected, and review your processes and roles and whatever you do annually, so you don't get stuck in we just have to do the same thing over and over. We can move on to do new things. Okay, and what we need to remember, is going to, if any of you have been to RILA or you've had RILA participants speak to your clubs, you've probably learned that one of the most important lessons they learned at RILA is that we get to do things instead of we have to do things. And so I think remembering RILA's advice is that we get to change. It's true, we get to make the changes that we think are the best for our club and that are going to be the most beneficial. Yeah, it's a perspective, but it's a good one. Okay, I want to, before we leave, because this was the last of the 4 sessions, I want you to write down any new ideas that popped up for you. Think about what you've learned today, because this is your opportunity to take all of today's messages and bring them back to your club to create an action plan for your club, or a strategic plan, whatever you want to call it within your club, that includes these 4 priorities. And remember that we can't change the direction of the wind, but we can always adjust our sails to reach our destination. You are all change agents. It's you who will make it happen, not me, not the other, it's not up to somebody else. It's really up to us to bring forward our ideas and let them be heard. I really thank you, all of you, for your time today with me, and of course with the other sessions as well. I want to say thank you to Robin and Tom. And the last, before we turn it over, is all of us is to remember to make our clubs vibrant. So to wrap up and close shop today is
before you do that, you've got a couple things in the chat that we may want to address. One is Chessa said maybe we should think about evolving rather than changing. And then Sarah asked a question about, does one need to be 18 or older to join? So you may want to talk about the age groups of Rotary.
Thank you. I apologize for missing those. So thanks. And that is why we have Robin and Tom there, is to keep us on track. So evolve versus change. I think that's a really good point, Chessa. It's evolving is changing, but perhaps it's a better term that it's more palatable to some people. We're taking what we've where we were, and we're adding new things to it and evolving over time. So great point. And maybe for our next go around with this, I'll make that change to my presentation. It will evolve as well, right? Just this is another way we continuously improve. The other question was for Rotary and Rotaract. What was the question about?
So does someone need to be 18 or older to join? And Jeff added the comment for Rotary and Rotaract. Yeah, but you may want to talk about the different age groups for Rotary subgroups.
Right. So Interact is from 12 to 18, basically. Most Interact clubs are high school Interacts, but we also have middle school Interact clubs. And so that is really school-based. It's around those two age groups and school types. To join Rotary and or Rotaract, you need to be at least 18 years old. In the old days, Rotaract was for 18 to 30-year-olds. And once you turned 30, you had to leave Rotaract and you had to join a Rotary club. In today's Rotary itself has evolved, and you don't have to be 18. You can be any age to join Rotaract, and you can be any age, you can stay in Rotaract beyond your 30th birthday. So the reality is there is no wrong age to be a Rotarian as long as you're 18 and older. That's the opportunity that we have. I don't know if that answers your question or not. That was from Sarah. So Sarah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, okay. She's got her thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Any other questions before we wrap up? Very good. Any other questions from anyone before we wrap up how we increase our adaptability within our clubs?
Berta, I think one question came up in the chat. Also, there was a question about difference between young professionals and Rotaract. I think when they were talking about young professionals, one of the other sessions, it was a category of Rotary members in the traditional Rotary Club. Rotaract being another form of young professionals, but not required that they be young professionals.
No, good point.
Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Young professionals it tends to be a category of, let's say it's a
reduced rate or something of that sort in a regular
right,
club.
If you want to provide opportunities for them. But Rotaract is a type of Rotary club. And so it is, again, traditionally for someone 18 to 30, but it doesn't have to be, it can be expanded beyond that. And Rotary clubs is 18 and beyond. So it can, our Midtown Rotary, for example, started out with a lot of younger Rotarians. They were younger, and interestingly enough, now they've been in Rotary quite a while. They're not so young anymore, which is kind of fun. And they need to continue to bring in younger Rotarians as well, or young professionals into that group. So I hope that does clarify. And thanks for bringing that up, Anita.
Yeah, and then Lindy just asked another question. Have we discussed e-clubs? Well, we haven't particularly, but e-clubs is another type of Rotary club.
It's another way to be adaptable, because
Yes.
we can, and e-club, interestingly now, any club could be an e-club, because with COVID, we found that we had to find different ways to meet. So some clubs were meeting just by email. We have one e-club within our district, the e-club of District 5190, and that they do meet via email and interact that way. And then occasionally, at least we got together when some of us, at least when I was doing my visits last year, and they were one of the clubs that actually I got to meet with, which is interesting considering they were an e-club. But
I think it's more than email, Berta. I think it's Zoom and that type of thing as well.
Well, it is. And so the designation of e-club in the past was more limiting than it is now. And even e-clubs have evolved to become broader in their perspective. So I don't, hopefully that answers, but again, all of these ways are ways that we can be flexible to meet the needs, and we don't have to be just one thing. I loved the comment earlier where, and I think it was, I apologize now, I forget who said it, but you're meeting twice by Zoom and once as a social. So mixing things up, all of these are ways that we can be flexible and adaptable. Most important part of this, to the needs and desires of your club members. Continue to look for ways to be adaptable in that way, and we will find that we meet, that our club becomes more vibrant, that our members are more engaged, and we walk away with that sense of purpose and commitment and meaning to what we do.
That was our club, Grass Valley.
Sorry, Kathleen, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our district governor, Anita, to wrap up and close today.
Thank you, Berta. And I would like to just ask all of you to be thinking about, I'm going to ask you in just a few minutes, what were your aha moments of the sessions today? And just to give you a very brief outline, we talked about projects need to be long-term solutions to a problem and have significant outcomes. It must change lives. Our members need to be enthusiastic about the project and using a community assessment tool. Those are the things that I grasped out of the Increase Your Impact that Wynn shared with us. Under the session 2, Expand Your Reach, Jeff talked about different meeting types and different membership types, and to do joint club projects and improve on our diversity that we have in our clubs. In session 3, Karen shared with us enhancing participant engagement would include reaching out to those that are absent, doing membership surveys, reaching out to those, oh, I said that, reaching out to those that are not here, and reaching out to those members and asking them why they're in Rotary today and what will keep them engaged. And in session 4, Berta just shared with you, increase your ability to adapt. And I love this, the concept of change. Survival is not mandatory. I love that. I'm going to keep that one, Berta. And reaching out to our members again, utilizing the club health check and being open to change. We get to change or we get to evolve. So I'd like to ask any members here today to share with us your aha moments at this time. Is there anyone that wants to share something that they really found to be a new aha moment for them? And don't be shy. You don't have to be shy. You can put it in chat if you like. And while I'm waiting, I want to also ask that you complete those evaluations that you have and share with the group the awesome team, I should say, of Wynn, Jeff, Karen, Berta, Robin, and Tom, what you thought about your experience today, and consider doing a strategic plan or a visioning for your club. So complete the evaluations. Any aha moments? Anybody want to share? Or are you just really ready for lunch? I get that. Oh, Kathleen, yes.
Wait. Well, I was really glad to hear a lot of discussion about socials and the importance of them. And I, when we went to pets and we talked about that, and people said the club should get together and all of that, and I just, that's no big deal. But then I find that in our club, they haven't had socials for a long time, but everybody keeps saying, oh, we used to have these great socials. So listening today, I'm enthused now about making sure that these happen and that the club helps pay for them, that it's not just the responsibility of the committee. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Great. Thanks, Kathleen. Sarah, what would you like to share?
Well, my aha moment is just the fact that we, as a club, need to reach out to the members that are silent. You know, they support the club, they love the club, but well, I want to know. I want to know where you're at. I mean, I am brand new, and if I am your president-elect, I'm going to be your president next year. I would love to see your faces. This isn't just about your money and, your verbal contribution. No, I mean, so I like the fact that there's a health check, and I'm going to ask Amy to, if that's something that she would like to delegate to me, and I would be more than happy to do that, because we have, from what I understand, we have 40 members. And
you don't see 40.
Maybe there's 15 of us that attend every Thursday. Okay, well, there's a lot of missing faces. And I know
look out. Here comes Sarah.
That's right.
Good for you. Good for you. Thanks, Sarah. And Walt, what would you like to add?
I just really, what hit me was the club plan. And, I was just counting the pages here. I took 11 pages of notes today. So
wow.
And then plus
That's awesome.
all the handouts and everything else, I could see there's going to be a lot of things that I need to kind of implement, as president-elect to, for my tenure as president for the second time, to make our club a little bit more vibrant when I take helm there. And so that's, my club plan is a big part of what I'm going to be implementing.
Excellent. Thanks, Walt. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I would like to close by saying a huge thank you to Wynn, Jeff, Karen, Berta, Robin, and Tom. And I hope there wasn't anybody else that I left out, because I don't want to leave anyone out. You all did a fantastic job today. And as your district governor, I even learned something. So thank you to everybody, and all of you that attended. Thank you for taking the time. I think it was worthwhile, and I'm sure you feel the same way. So have a great rest of your weekend. Unless somebody has something to add, we're done.